Good morning. Good morning. I'd like to bring the November 1st, 2023 Planning Advisory Commission meeting to order. And please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, thank you. And if you would please, this thing's loud. If you would please silence or turn off your cell phones during this time. I remind those in the audience and those that are watching by television that this is the first hearing of any rezoning text change case, special exception, or request brought before us here today. We will first hear a reading of the staff report for the case by planning staff and ask the applicant then to provide a brief overview of the request. We will give then the opportunity for anyone in the audience to speak for or against that request or to inquire about that request. Commissioners will have time for any needed discussion on the case. Once a motion is made and seconded by the commission, a vote will take place and a recommendation will be rendered. The case will go back to the planning department for their independent recommendation. If a favorable recommendation is given, then the case is forwarded to the City Council with the two independent recommendations. If the Planning Department makes recommendation for denial, the applicant will have 10 days from the receipt of a letter stating the denial to notify the Clerk of Council that they're requesting to be placed on the City Council's agenda. The City Council of Columbus will then hold a public meeting, and it'll be called the first reading. Said council will consider the case, review our recommendations and the Planning Department recommendations, and then hear discussion on the matter, and then council will make a final decision at a second public meeting called the second reading. Okay, has everybody had an opportunity to take a look at the minutes from last meeting on Trello? I'm assuming any questions regarding the minutes? Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes? Mr. Baker, second. Dr. McCaskey, any discussion? All those in favor to accept the minutes, raise your right hand. All right, and that's done. All right. And we have one case today, and it's a rezoning case, number REZN 1023-1964. This is a request to rezone 0.51 acres of land located at 4070 Macon Road. Current zoning is single family residential 2, SFR2 zoning district. Proposed zoning is neighborhood commercial NC zoning district. The proposed use is retail. Benjamin Foster is the applicant, and the property is located in Council District 1, Councilman Barnes. Can we hear from planning first, please, on the staff report?
Good morning. This property is currently SFR2. They would like to rezone it to NC for a 3,000 square foot retail business. This would conform with the future land use plan, which calls for neighborhood commercial on that property. So it is compatible with the existing land uses and compatible with the surrounding zoning. The average annual daily trips would increase by 67, and there would be a Category C buffer required on just the south property line where it abuts the SFR2. There is neighborhood commercial to the north and east, single family residential 2 to the south, and residential office to the west. 15 property owners were notified. I did not receive any phone calls or emails, but I do know that there are some people who would like to speak about this in attendance today.
All right, thank you very much. Commissioners, y'all have any questions of planning? Anyone? All right, who is the representative for this case? And if you would please come up to the podium there and state your name and address first for the record, and then tell us what the plans are for this property.
Okay, my name is Nixon Maxey. I live at 1400 Wildwood Avenue in Columbus. Yeah, the idea here is the owner, Benjamin Foster, owns the Terry's Florist next door, and wanted to have this property rezoned and used as a retail for his purpose as well. 3,000 square foot building. There's going to be 2 units in it. He is going to use one mainly for office and storage and setup and such for the Terry's Florist business, and then have another one available for lease and such in the future. You know, and that's, you know, and that's predominantly what the situation is. But he is the adjacent landowner as well.
Okay. All right. All right, Commissioners, do you have any questions? Mr. Massey?
Hey, good morning. Just to be clear, that there is no plan for this to be any sort of gas sales, anything like that?
No, nothing at all like that.
Okay.
The lot's too small, and gas sales would be under general commercial
Right.
anyhow.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
With this neighborhood commercial, I think that was a mistake originally. And so it, the idea is just sort of a general retail.
Okay. And maybe a question for planning staff, but the only thing that I see day to day is that sometimes with the funeral home across the street, traffic gets backed up turning in there, turning into that high parking lot. Are you aware of any sort of decel lanes come into that area?
Engineering did not give me anything, but we only have a conceptual site plan. So when they submit plans, if something is required, they will have to meet engineering standards.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you said you're gonna use one part as a storage area?
Well, one for personal use, but his use, and I believe for the terrace floor, it's just going to be an area where they can set up and arrange flowers. It's just sort of an overflow work area for the florist shop next door.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So will there not be any additions to this building? The building will remain as it is, or are they planning to add on to this?
This building on this lot in particular? Yes. No, sir. 3,000 square feet is as much as they'll be able to get on this lot as it is.
All right. Any other questions, Commissioner?
No.
Yes, sir.
And that was my question. I got one for Ms. Morgan. The traffic, because I go to Terry's every Monday. So the traffic in and out, how are we going to address that?
The engineering department didn't give me anything specific at this time, but we only have a site plan.
Site.
So when they do submit their construction plans and their civil plans, if something does need to be addressed, it would have to be addressed before anything could even be built. They would have to meet whatever engineering standards deems. We just don't have that based off the site plan.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Maxey. Let's see. Is there anyone in the audience would like to come forward and speak for this case? Yes, sir. If you would, state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Will Jones. I'm manager of Vance Brooks Funeral Home, which is located next to the property being discussed. I had a talking paper here, and it has changed dramatically because initially we were told it was going to be a convenience and gas sales, which that would be a major issue with the funeral home next door and the funeral home across the street. The only, I think, concern that we would have would be a deceleration lane, because if one has to be put there, it would obviously have to be put on our property. There's no other way around that. The traffic coming down, as you're aware, and I'm pretty sure that all of you have been to one of the funeral homes there, you know, the traffic is horrendous, especially if you're coming down from downtown, down the hill. You know, we get that crest, you don't know what's on the other side of that hill till you get there. Our funeral home has no issue with the proposed type of business expansion. I think it's a great idea. The only concern at this point that I can think of would be the deceleration lane going into our property. Other than that, everything else I had jotted down was in reference to a convenience store and a gas sales.
All right. Commissioners, do you all have any questions of Mr. Jones? Anyone? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak for or against it? Yes, sir. If you would come forward, please, and give us your name and address for the record, please.
My name's Danny Holly, and address is 14555 Highway 219. And I had also built Vance Funeral Home, and we did include a decel lane for the funeral home when I built it. And if this one requires a decel lane, it would continue from their existing decel, so it would be a very easy flow coming through the decel lane if it's gonna be required also for the florist shop. I just wanted to bring that up. So we did have a decel lane when we built Vance, and it would continue on from there if it's gonna be required for the florist shop. So it would be a good smooth transition from one decel lane straight into the other to be able to make the turn to get into the property.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Holly, Ms. Thomas has a question.
How are you doing, sir?
Good,
Okay,
thank you.
good. You say that yours was required?
On the Vance, it's been a long time now since I built the Vance right there. That's when I was younger, but it was required for the Vance Funeral Home. And on this one, if it is gonna be required, it would be a continuation of that decel lane into this. So it wouldn't be a short decel lane, it would be a very extended decel lane that would work for both of the properties, if the florist shop property is gonna require it through the engineering.
Okay, you said if it's required?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
I won't know that until we submit the
right,
plans for it,
right,
and they do
okay.
their traffic count.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, any other questions? Is there anyone in the audience would like to speak for or against this? Please come forward. I think we've spoken to most everybody. All right. All right, that said, any discussion? No discussion? Open the floor up for a motion. Mr. Baker.
When it comes to REZN 1023-1964, request to rezone .51 acres of land located at 4070 Macon Road, I propose that we accept this rezoning, that it is compatible with current and future land use.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. We have a second from Dr. McCaskey and Ms. Thomas. All right, so all those in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed by the same sign, and it carries. Thank you very much for your time and attention. All right. We'll move on now to new business. We have an election of officers. As you know, Mr. Derby is out today, and as is Mr. Dudley. They are the chair and co-chair right now of the board, correct?
If you would like to continue this to the next meeting where we may have everyone in attendance, we can, if that's what you prefer. Larry said he wouldn't mind being chairman again, but that's, if you would like everyone to be in attendance, someone can make a motion to continue it to the November 15th meeting.
Okay, we can do that.
If you'd like.
Now, is Mr. Derby eligible to serve through next year?
Yes.
And is Mr. Dudley going to serve through next year? Is his term end?
I think his term
I'm seeing a head shaking. Okay. All right. I mean, that's up to the commission. If you want to, if Mr. Derby has told me he's out for a medical reason, he said that he would be willing to serve again if you'd like to put him back in the seat. But as far as a vice chair, we will need to choose someone. So we can get this done if you'd like with those two.
It is up to you completely.
Okay. Well, I'll open the floor up for nominations for vice chair. How about that?
You don't want to hold it till everyone is here?
Well, the only two that are missing,
James isn't eligible to
he can't
reelect
attend,
anyway.
he can't do it again. So the ones that are eligible are here, and Mr. Derby's agreed to serve as chair. Is everybody in agreement for Mr. Derby to remain as chair? Yep. Okay, all right, we'll vote on that in a minute. I just kind of getting a straw poll here. So I open the floor up for vice chairman nomination.
I would like to nominate Mr. Ralph King if he would consider serving.
Well, you have to have a second.
Second.
All right. All right, let's vote on the chairman as Mr. Derby. Is there a motion on the floor to elect Mr. Derby as chairman for another year? So moved. All right, Mr. Steed, second. All right, everybody. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All right. All right, me as vice chair, we have a motion on the floor, correct? All right, second? All right. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
It's unanimous.
Is that effective? That work, Mr. Renfro in the back there? All right, very good. All right, any other, do we have cases on the 15th?
We have cases, and we have a text amendment that's going to be presented by the fire department.
Oh, okay, okay. Is there a major case coming on the 15th?
There is not a major case. I'm sure you've heard about a major case, but there's no date for that major case, so
Okay.
I think we'll make it to the next year without a major controversial case.
Ah, good, all right. Thank you very much. All right, well, that said, we are adjourned. Thank you.